Most people imagine federalism as a pyramid. The federal government sits at the top, issuing orders downward. States comply. Local governments do what states tell them. That's the picture in people's heads. A chain of command flowing downward. That's backward. Federalism isn't about hierarchy. It's about division asterisk. Sovereign power, the actual right to make law and enforce it, is intentionally split between different levels of government. Neither level is in charge of the other. They overlap, they contest. They sometimes do the same thing in the same place at the same time for different legal reasons. This matters because it changes what the government actually is. Start with what Congress can actually do. The Constitution lists it out. Coin money, regulate trade between states, establish post offices, naturalize citizens, create federal courts. These are specific. They're not vague. And there's a reason for that precision. The framers in 1787 were afraid of exactly what you might be afraid of, a government so powerful and so distant that it swallows everything. So they said, here are the powers we're giving you. All other powers belong to the states or to the people themselves. This wasn't poetry, it was a deliberate break, but here's where it gets strange. You can be tried for the same act in both state court and federal court. Your state can prosecute you. The feds can prosecute you. Both trials happen, and neither one violates your constitutional right against double jeopardy. Why? Because they're separate sovereigns. Double jeopardy protects you from being tried twice by the same government. But a state and the federal government are two different governments, even though they both operate in the same physical space and sometimes address the same conduct. That sounds surreal until you understand what federalism actually is. Overlapping legal worlds, not nested ones. The daily structure of law you live in is almost entirely state-made. Marriage, divorce, property, contracts, professional licensing, school curricula, court systems, criminal law, these are state matters. States run the courts where the vast majority of prosecutions happen. They set speed limits. They decide hunting seasons. They regulate who can practice medicine. None of these are federal powers. They simply aren't listed in the Constitution. And then there's the leverage. The federal government collects taxes and funds state programs, highways, education, welfare systems. A state can refuse the money and stay independent, or it can take the money and in exchange follow the rules attached to it. It's not quite coercion. It's not quite local choice. It's a negotiation built into the structure itself. Congress also has what lawyers call the necessary and proper clause. It can do whatever it needs to do to carry out its enumerated powers. That sounds simple, but it's the hinge where almost every federalism argument hangs. Is regulating health insurance necessary to regulate interstate commerce? Courts have spent decades wrestling with that question. They still are. The system doesn't settle these questions. It runs on them. In 1787, this design solved a specific fear. How do you create a national government strong enough to function without creating a tyrant? Federalism was a practical answer. You divide the power. You make it impossible for any single authority to run everything. Today, federalism doesn't tell us whether the federal government or the states should regulate pollution, immigration, or medical licensing. It just says, here's the framework for fighting about it. And we do. Constantly. Deliberately. That's not a bug in the system. That's the point.